How are you? Let me record this call. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the same book, the Johan Cruyff book.
This one?
Yes.
I translated this book in Korean.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. Good.
Yeah, that's why I have this. Let's get into the talk. I mean, we spoke about Klinsmann 4 months ago, and then we both showed our worries about him and then Asian Cup, and it became true reality. So let's talk about the Asian Cup briefly, and then Klinsmann and about KFA in this order.
Right.
What was your thinking when you were watching Korea's Asian Cup campaign?
Well, it was very frustrating, really. I think because we know that this is a team that should be better than. Of course, in the tournament, you cannot expect every game to be a good performance or exciting. Just beat Bahrain 3-1 was a good opening game. Again, it was not great, but that's okay. You can look back at 1982 World Cup and Italy won the World Cup, but in the group stage they didn't win any game. It doesn't really matter. The group stage is about getting out of the group and getting some momentum and finding the right energy and the right playing. Of course, looking back, the 2-2 draw with Georgia was not a bad result. And then the Malaysia game, I think, okay, this is not great. And I think, so the group stage doesn't matter if you have a good competition. If Korea's in the final now, and then nobody really remembers what happens in the group stage. But looking back, of course, I think throughout the whole tournament, there's never kind of even like a 20 minutes spell or 30 minutes of when you can say, oh, the team's playing well, or this is good play, or Korea's on top. There were times, of course, against Saudi Arabia in the finals spell of the game, but that's just because Korea are desperate for a goal, Saudi Arabia or sitting back, and similar, I think, against Australia in extra time. But in the general play of the normal games, 90 minutes, I don't think there's any, even a 15 minutes where you think, oh, this is okay, this is encouraging, there's some good team play or passing or movement or whatever. That, I think, is the kind of the biggest feeling for me is, after 1 year in the job, there's still no sense of how this would be the play because the formation's always changing. You can't really see what the team is trying to do. Yeah, so I think overall it was disappointing because, again, apart from Jordan and maybe Iraq, there's no impressive team at the Asian Cup. I think in terms of quality of play, I think it was really open for Korea to go and win. I think if you can't demand that a team wins a tournament because things can go wrong, things can happen. You can't say if you don't win it's a failure because you can get a red card or a bad referee decision or something happens or some bad luck or some injury. But over 6 games, there should be signs that this is teams growing and improving and looks like a champion. And I think they were absent.
Let's talk about Klinsmann. And I saw his interview last night at the airport, and he was very adamant. I mean, he shows he has no signs of he will want to stay, and he has a plan.
Right.
But do you think South Korea should keep him in the hot spot or not? What do you think?
Well, ideally, he would never have the job
in the first place.
That would be the ideal situation. I think, see his interviews, I think he believes what he says. I think that's his real feeling. Semi-final is good. But I think the questions we should ask is, have Korea improved since Klinsmann became coach? And I think the answer is no. Are there any signs that in the next year will Korea get better under the current coach? There are no signs, I think. I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but I cannot see anything that suggests things will improve. And are there other coaches out there who could do a better job? Of course, there always are. I mean, it doesn't matter what coach you have. There's almost always somebody available who can do a good job. So I would think that the best thing for Korea to do is have a change of coach. I think if you do it, then have to do it quite soon, because there's 2 qualifiers for the World Cup next month, and if Klinsmann's in place for that, and it's quite possible Korea will win both, then it gets more and more difficult to make a change. And and then the same thing will happen. Results will be okay. Korea will probably qualify for the World Cup, and then more than likely it will not be a great World Cup. It's not just about competitions; it's about having a style of play, and so it's a bigger picture about what does the KFA or the Korean people, what kind of national team do they want? And I think Klinsmann, he seems like a very nice guy. Of course, he's a fantastic player, but it doesn't really seem like the right coach for South Korea, I think. And I think we said last time that this is a good job. It's a prestigious job on the biggest national teams in the world. And there are lots and lots of people who would be proud to be national team coach of South Korea. And Klinsmann obviously seems to like it, enjoy it as well. But there's lots of other people who could do, I think, a better job. And unfortunately, Klinsmann said, "Judge me on the Asian Cup," and he wasn't very impressive.
Do you think? I mean, we both agree 4 months ago and now as well that we need a change. And is there any? I mean, do you think? Is there any better coach? I mean, do you think maybe you can think that maybe South Korea needs to have South Korean coach this time or something like that? Do you have any idea who can replace Klinsmann?
Well, I think the big question is what kind of coach does KFA want? Then, from my point of view, it should be somebody who comes in and there's a style of play, a way of playing that he should fit into the Korean way of playing. There should be an overall style of Korean playing, or the players that the team has. And of course, coaches can be slightly different and they have different strengths and weaknesses. But there should be an overall identity. And the KFA said, this is the way we play. Of course, there's some flexibility, but we want you to fit into this and improve it. And that feeds through to the younger teams, on the 23s and on the 17s, and the whole way through the system. Not everyone playing an identical way, but there is an overall identity of play. And so I think that's a bigger question, really, because, and this has never happened, has it? We know. And it's not just South Korea, in most national teams. It's easier said than done. But we saw the Asian Cup, there's no identity of where the team wants to play, was trying to play. I mean, even if it happens for 10 or 15 minutes, you see, I can see what they're trying. It didn't work, but I can see what they're trying. But we didn't even see that. So even a domestic coach may be easier in the short term. But I think overall, there should be a real discussion and thought about what kind of coaches do we want, and then we can think about who would be some of the right people who could fit into that system and make the team better. And but again, as I said, it's not easy to do, but it takes time. But it has to start, I think.
I just smiled because I heard again you are calling South Korea "we."
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very nice to hear that, and because you have different point of view from the people inside of South Korea, but also you know South Korean football very well. Yeah. And